All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. I don't think there's anybody else waiting. I am sharing my screen. Todd, can you see that? Okay, can you see Chamber 101 up there on the screen? Everybody can hear me okay, see me okay. It's more important to hear me, obviously, than to see me. But anyway, I want to welcome everybody for this sort of unusual, unconventional version of Chamber 101. I trust and hope that everybody is well and safe where you are. Grateful to Executive Personnel Group for continuing to sponsor this event, even though we've had to change gears on how we do it. But hopefully, you guys get a lot out of this and are able to share the information um, as we go forward. Um, just a couple housekeeping items. If you would just leave your device muted, that'll cut back on some of the background noise, and we'll also be able to kind of get through this thing in a quick manner. Um, and also, if you have any questions or comments, leave it in the comment feature. And at the end of this presentation, I'm going to try to answer as many of those questions as I can. If I can't, I'm also going to include my contact information at the end of this, and you can reach out to me directly. So let's go ahead and get started. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Ryan Simons. I'm the president of the Wilson Chamber of Commerce. Again, this is kind of new to all of us. So if things are delayed or I don't do quite as well as what we would normally expect, please forgive me and grant me some grace. Here's what I hope that we're going to cover today. I want to do a quick snapshot on the county health status of our county from a health perspective. I want to remind everybody about who we are as a Chamber of Commerce and the services that we provide to our community. I want to talk a little bit about how some of those services and our operations are changing and have changed over the course of this crisis. Additionally, I want to make sure that we communicate to you guys how we're hoping to help our business community both now and going forward. And then finally, like I mentioned, if there's any questions going forward, I'm going to try to answer all of them as best I can. Let me add a few more people here that are waiting. All right. So the chart that is getting ready to come up on your screen here is really, this is basically a graphical representation of some of the data that has been shared by Wilson County government on their Facebook page. I put this together knowing that we haven't really seen this sort of represented in a chart format. So it helps me visually to look at stuff like this. And basically, this is cases as of yesterday. So the red line represents cumulative cases. There's been 130 reported cases in Wilson County. The green line represents recoveries or presumed recoveries, folks that have had coronavirus, but we presume either have been medically cleared or have otherwise presumed to be recovered. That's the green line. The blue line in the middle is the net difference between those two. So cumulative cases minus those that have recovered. So basically the current cases that we're observing now. I'm not widely distributing this chart. I'll let you guys read into it what you will. Again, it's just a graphic representation of what's been put out publicly already. The gray box in the middle, that starts when Governor Cooper issued his stay-at-home order for 14 days forward. So I guess what we want to see is that blue line start to flatten, start to turn downwards, and hopefully, if it hasn't already happened, it'll happen sometime soon. But just wanted to give you guys that just sort of as a snapshot of the health status that we're observing here in Wilson County. What I'm hearing from folks both at the hospital as well as our public health folks is that they're all very encouraged by our capacity and our ability to manage this crisis. But obviously, we have to maintain the social distancing and public health guidance that we're receiving for at least a little while longer to make sure that we responsibly and appropriately respond to the crisis. So a little bit about the chamber. As a reminder, this is our mission. This is what we are here to do. This is what we're doing every day, is to build a market where business prospers. And I would make the argument that this mission has not gone away just because we are in a global crisis. Actually, this mission is probably more important now than it's ever been. And we got all of our staff on this call right now, and I can assure you that their work has not wavered. They're working just as hard as they ever have, probably harder, to make sure that we respond to the needs of our businesses in a time where there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of anxiety. Honestly, there's a lot of anger, and I share that anger. And so does our staff with some of what's happened. But we have to be here in order for this business community to persevere. And we want you to know that we are doing that and we are working towards that. We do it in four particular ways: networking, advocacy, marketing, and education. Obviously, some of that has had to change, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about how our program of work has changed. I want to remind you guys that we're a nonprofit membership organization. We're only able to provide the service and guidance that we're doing right now because we have local businesses here who have voluntarily chosen to invest in our mission. They believe in what we do. They've made the commitment and the investment to invest in their local chamber of commerce. We're led by volunteers. These are business leaders just like you are. That have voluntarily decided that they were going to take it upon themselves to lead this organization. Our chair this year is Heather Driver with CopyPro, done an excellent job of leading through what is an unprecedented event for us. But just know that these folks know exactly what our business community is going through because they're members of that business community. Also, a reminder, we're not a subsidiary of the North Carolina U.S. Chambers of Commerce. Anything you see from those guys, as helpful as they want to be, know that we don't answer to them. We are self-governed by that board of directors here locally. Our only concern is how we can help this market in Wilson get through this crisis and be a place where businesses can succeed. Likewise, we're not a unit of government. We are not funded by taxpayers. We are not a creature of the state or local governments. We exist, again, solely on the generosity of those businesses who choose to invest in us and who see the importance of our mission. Likewise, and this is important because I've received a lot of phone calls about this, we're not a regulatory organization. We don't get to determine what businesses are essential, what employees are essential. That is a decision that's made by local, state, and federal authorities. We can certainly advise, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that. But we are not an organization that's going to make any rules for anyone. Our office has remained open during this crisis. A lot of our staff is working from home, but they're responding to phone calls and emails just like they always have. They're reaching out to our members, and they've done an incredible job of making sure that we touch base with each and every one of them to determine if there's something specific that our organization can do to help those members. And if you need to speak to any one of us, you can still come into our office. We're just asking you to do it by appointment, and we'll be happy to help you while we're here. In fact, we're still accepting members into the chamber. We're only as strong as the number of members that we have. We've seen a couple new members join us. At the same time, we're also asking our members to continue to renew their commitment in the chamber. This is not an easy time to ask local businesses to commit discretionary funds towards a membership organization. And we are extending every grace that we can. We're not going to drop any members during this time. But at the same time, if businesses are able and capable to invest in the Wilson Chamber of Commerce, we're certainly asked that they do that and give it every consideration. So we're trying to be as sensitive as we can, but also ask that businesses support us if they're able to. So let's talk a little bit about that program of work that has sort of had to change a little bit in recent weeks. Start with networking. Obviously, most of our in-person networking stuff has been suspended since March. We're hopeful that we can start a gradual return to some of those things beginning next month. Obviously, we want to bring our board together. We want to be able to do those chamber B2Bs and accelerated networking luncheons, ribbon cuttings, those things that you guys know us for. We want to be able to do those things, but we have to do so responsibly. We have to do so in a way that protects, first of all, your health and safety, but also is a way that is smart for us to make sure that our members can engage with one another. We still have our eye on Chamber Night at the Tobbs, and that's going to be June 4th. We're going to be working with the Tobbs closely to make sure that we continue to extend that to you guys as a benefit. Also, we've rescheduled Small Business Month to August, and hopefully, again, we can do the things, all those things that we wanted to be able to do in back in May. We're going to do that in August now, and then again, we're just going to try to move all those things, basically pick them up as they were and move them into August going forward. But just stay tuned. We've got a lot of opportunities coming forward. I do want you to think about, though, in this new normal that we're going to have, be thinking about how you're going to leverage and take advantage of those networking opportunities. There's going to be a lot of pent-up demand. I've joked with people, I'm not exactly a real social butterfly, but I am like a puppy every time the door opens here at the Chamber. Excited about meeting people and greeting people, and I think we're all kind of sharing that same sentiment. Going over to marketing, obviously we've also had to kind of put this program off to the side a bit as sort of a secondary activity of the Chamber. But we do want everybody to know that Asia has been diligently assembling any type of marketing information that you may have at your business that is helping specifically during this crisis. One example is ServPro. Has some guidelines, cleaning protocol for disinfecting an office. So obviously we're going to promote that at no charge. Anything that your business is doing to kind of help our entire business community move beyond this crisis, we're going to promote that for you. Likewise, we do have paid member promotions that are still available. We're going to, again, we have to be sensitive to these things. We want to make sure that we certainly provide opportunities for our members to promote themselves, but we also have to remember there's a lot of businesses out there hurting. So we're going to be discreet in how we promote those things and making sure that we don't do anything that gives anybody an unfair advantage or appears to be in any way hurtful to those who can't operate. Likewise, Asia is out there selling ads for our sources directory. This is going to be an incredibly important publication for us this year. We're going to try to commemorate some of the ways that our businesses have persevered through this crisis in our sources directory. It's one of these things that I know a lot of our members look forward to getting every year, just again, a directory and guide of what's available here in the Wilson business community. I hope you'll be receptive to those calls from Asia to advertise your business, but also tell us, it's an opportunity for you to tell us what you're doing to be resilient during this time and what you've done to kind of memorialize what you've done to help your business, your employees, and maybe this community. Finally, one of our biggest marketing events has been our Wilson Spring Expo presented by Greenlight Community Broadband. Of course, this year's going to be the Wilson Fall Expo. We're going to do all the same great things that we've always done with that event. We're just moving it to October 24th. Again, you'll be getting information from Rebecca and Asia about that. If you've already secured a booth, no worries. We've got you covered that your booth will carry over from spring to the fall. And likewise, there's some booths that are still available. So again, begin thinking about ways that you want to utilize your chamber benefits to promote your business, because once we hit August, it's going to be pedal to the metal, and we're going to be looking for opportunities to make sure that we showcase all these businesses that have kind of had all this pent up demand to get out there and promote themselves, and we want to be able to help you as much as we can. So networking and marketing obviously have kind of had to go on the back burner, and what we've tried to do sort of in place of that is really ramp up our education and advocacy efforts. So real quickly, just on our two major education programs, the Wilson Leadership Institute, that still continues. That's a program to develop leaders for this community. At the Chamber Executive Academy, by contrast, just because of the nature of that program, we've sort of had to suspend operations there. It's a great group, and we're hoping to resume this summer going into this fall and start recruiting the next class for that. But we have to do so safely and with public health front of mind. In the meantime, what we've been doing has been consulting members. We've had calls. Our phone has probably rung more than it ever has. Just being that listening ear and being able to guide our members and non-members, for that matter, to those resources that are available to them, the assistance that they need to kind of get through this crisis. And we're taking those phone calls every day. Additionally, and I'll talk about this more in a second, every day we are posting new updates to our website about those resources and benefits that are available to our business community to kind of help them get through this crisis. And again, I'll mention that in a second. One of the responsibilities that this Chamber of Commerce has is to make sure that we put forward a unified, strong front about our community. There's a lot to be proud of in Wilson, and I think we're going to be even more proud when we emerge from this crisis to see all the good things that have happened, all the charity that has taken place, all the help, all the donations, all the care that we've given to our healthcare workers, our educators, the folks who are out of business, folks who are out of work right now. There's a lot of good stories that we haven't heard yet, but we will hear. So in a way to sort of celebrate that, we had Wilson Spirit Week beginning on April 6th, and I think that was so well received. That's something that we're going to do every year, just to kind of make sure people remember that a lot of good folks did a lot of great things in a difficult time. And I think that's a unique part of Wilson and what makes this community so special. So we deserve to celebrate that and advocate for that on an ongoing basis. And then secondly, every day I'm talking to decision makers here in Wilson, but also in Raleigh and in DC. To make sure that they know the unique challenges that are confronting our business community. And they need to know that we need help. Quite honestly, the help that's out there is not coming fast enough, and there's not enough of it. So we're talking to them all the time to make sure that we impress upon them just how difficult this crisis has been for our business community. I mentioned daily updates to our website. This COVID-19 page is just a comprehensive guide to resources, financial, technical, charitable resources that are available to you and your business. We update it every day. It's synced with our social media feeds. In fact, I updated it just about an hour ago, and that'll go live on our Facebook page here shortly. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook to make sure that you're getting all the news and information, because here's one of the sources of frustration that I'm hearing from our business community. That there's information coming so fast and at such a high volume that it's impossible to consume it all. So let us consume it for you. We're gonna take that information in, we're gonna distill it down, we're gonna organize it into one place where you can easily scroll through all those resources that are available to you. If you don't see something that you've heard elsewhere, give us a call. We will update accordingly, but we're doing this every single day so that you guys don't have to go searching for the information. You've got one place at wilsonnchamber.com where you can go to find the information that is important to you and your business. And just as a matter of just information, I have nothing against that logo down there on the screen, but that's our old logo. So if you see any social media stuff with that logo on it, it's probably some old archived stuff. So be looking for the new green logo for any information that's coming from the Wilson Chamber of Commerce. All right, I want to talk about some of the major programs that are impacting your business right now, and invite you guys to ask us any questions. Again, if you're leaving any questions in the comment box, I'm going to get up there and I'm going to, excuse me, sorry, let me go back. I'm going to get up there and I'm going to answer those questions as best I can. First of all, essential businesses. So the governor issued an executive order which listed what the essential businesses are. They're listed in 16 different categories that are determined by the Department of Homeland Security. Most businesses are essential. It's those businesses that cannot demonstrate proper social distancing, like tanning beds or hair salons, those types of places that by virtue of their business, they can't socially distance. Those are the ones that have been deemed non-essential. However, the North Carolina Department of Revenue does have an appeals process. If you believe that you have been determined non-essential, there is an appeal that you can file through the North Carolina Department of Revenue, where they will review whether or not you are an essential business. And there's a portal. Again, it's linked right at our COVID-19 resource page. There's a portal that you can file for that appeal directly through there. The SBA Economic injury disaster loan, also known as the EIDL loan. Um, as you guys know, both the EIDL program and the PPP program recently ran out of funds last week. There is legislation that has already been passed by the Senate. We expect to be passed by the House either today or tomorrow, and then signed by the President, which would replenish some of these funds. There will be about $50 billion added to the EIDL program. If you've already applied for an EIDL loan or loan advance, we're being told that you don't need to reapply, that your application will remain in the queue. I'm going to tell you guys, this program though is just flooded with demand. I've had people ask me how they can contact the SBA to determine where they are in the queue. I found this phone number. You need to ask for the status department, and when you do that, if you do that, pack your patience, because you're in for a long wait time of about an hour or more, and then you're going to talk to somebody on the other line who probably won't be able to give you the information that you want. So I would caution you not to use that phone number unless you are absolutely desperate to do so. But it's there if you need it. And these loans just they're not coming fast enough. And I've communicated that to our elected officials. So we're hoping with the second round of stimulus that these loans start getting kicked out a lot faster. One thing that has proven successful and is moving along at a pretty successful clip, and we hope to be replenished with another $310 billion by early next week, has been the Paycheck Protection Program. If you have not done so already, if you've not applied for this, as soon as this presentation is over, I need you to contact your banker and find out what you need to do to apply for this funding. Unlike the EIDL loan, where you apply for it directly through SBA, the PPP is something that you apply for through your lender. So your banker will be able to walk you through the steps of this process. Each bank has its own process for getting applications and processing those applications. So again, I would encourage you now to reach out to your banker and find out what their process is for applying for the Paycheck Protection Program if you haven't already. Again, I've been given some assurance that if you've already applied for this program and you haven't received any notification one way or the other, that your place in line, for lack of a better term, is secured. But again, I would reach out to your lender to make sure that they have all the information that they need to process your application as quickly as possible. For those of you who are not going to take advantage of the Paycheck Protection Program, Treasury has made available an employee retention tax credit. If your business has obviously been impacted by this from a production level, but you're still able to keep your employees on the payroll, you will be eligible for a tax credit up to $10,000 per employee on their payroll taxes. And Treasury is still working out a process for how to advance those credits to employers that are able to keep their employees on staff. There's also the North Carolina Rapid Recovery Loan Program, which is a partnership between Golden Leaf and the North Carolina Rural Center. It offers up to $50,000 of a loan, of which payments are deferred for the first 6 months. Afterwards, there's a 5.5% interest rate over 48 months. That program is intended to kind of serve as a stopgap until a business is able to either secure an EIDL loan or the Paycheck Protection Program loan. A reminder, the PPP loan is only a loan until it's forgiven as a grant if used for payroll purposes and other essential items like rent or mortgage, utilities, those types of things. It is forgiven. Otherwise, it's a relatively low interest rate and flexible term, not flexible terms, but long term on that loan if you don't use it for payroll purposes. But what we're hearing from our members and those who have been able to secure that loan is that they're using it for payroll purposes, and it will be forgiven after the 8 weeks of funding that is made available through that program. And then finally, what I'll tell you is that we're working with our leaders here to begin on recovery. Like I said, we need to make sure that we do this in a way that is responsible and in accord with the guidelines that we're hearing from public health officials. But guys, and I think everybody's going to agree with me who's on this call, we can't go like this forever. In fact, we probably have gone on much longer than any of us would have expected or can endure. So we need to get this economy back up and running again. You can rest assured that the chamber is advocating for that, but we can only do it in a way that is responsible and very sensitive to our public health risks. We don't want a situation where we open things up too quickly and we have to do this all over again in a few months. That just wouldn't be responsible. But trust that we're in constant communication with our appointed and elected officials here to make sure that we do that in a way that is unique to Wilson. We don't need to worry about what Raleigh's doing, what Wake County's doing, what Greenville's doing. We need to do something that works and is right for Wilson, and be assured that all of your leaders in this community are aware of that, and we'll be working together in concert with them to make sure that it happens in the best interest of our business community. So I know I covered a lot of things really quickly, and I'm getting ready to tackle some of the questions that have been put up there in the comment box. But what happened? But this is my contact information for any of you. If I don't get to your question, reach out to me directly. I know one of the biggest frustrations is that you just haven't had an opportunity to talk to anybody. There's nobody out there who can answer your questions, and I feel like that maybe that's a role that the chamber can fill. If you just call us, we can at least direct you to those resources that might be helpful to you. So if I don't get to your question today, reach out to me via email. You can call the office. The office phone a lot of time is redirected to my cell phone. You can leave a message. If we don't pick up right away, we will respond back to you. And again, the team here at the chamber has been phenomenal. They're ready to answer your questions and concerns. We're all here to help you. So that's my contact information. You can also private message me on Twitter or tag me in a tweet, and I'll try to respond to you that way as well. But I'll leave that up there for just a little while longer, and then I'll get into these questions. All right, Miss Carletha has asked how many deaths have there been from coronavirus. 6 have been recorded as of yesterday. So sadly, we did record 6 deaths. If there is a silver lining to this, and obviously you hate to even look at it this way, but we have not seen our death rate increase proportional with the recorded cases. So our death rate has remained pretty low relative to the number of cases being reported, and also relative to some of the communities our size. Somebody from Wilson Tobbs indicates that chamber night is about to change. So we'll promote that as soon as we get it. Mr. Pope, we'll try to get you a couple $1 million as quickly as we can. Todd, thank you for putting this. He indicated that you need to make sure that all your information is correct when you're applying for forgiveness from the SBA. I would go one step further. You need to make sure that your information is absolutely correct and precise on any relief that you're applying for, whether it's the PPP, whether it's the EIDL loan, or whether it's unemployment benefits. Any inaccuracy, what we're observing is that it just delays processing of those things. So please make sure, especially if you're working with a banker, confer with them to make sure that you're submitting the right information. Top Gauss, I cannot reveal where I got my haircut, but it is fabulous. So I'll let you know about that later on. My man Mace at the Red Cross is encouraging everybody to give blood. Yes, indeed. While I have been assured from our public health officials that things like ventilators and PPE is at least an adequate supply, we do not have an adequate supply of blood anywhere. And I know Todd Anderson is instrumental in the Fight Blood drive, and obviously that kind of corresponded right when this thing was sort of taking off and greatly impacted our ability to secure blood reserves at that point. you know, if you're able to and able to do so safely, visit redcrossblood.org, and they will receive your donation whenever you're ready to give it. Folks, we've got a few minutes left, and I'll see if anybody else has anything that they want to ask. But I just want to end where we started. Um, the Chamber is a vitally important organization for this community, and I'm so grateful for the opportunity that we have to help businesses. And as discouraging as it is to receive phone calls and emails from businesses that are in a lot of pain right now, it gives me a lot of satisfaction when we're able to steer them to resources that hopefully will help them get through this crisis. Um, and I hope if you've heard anything on this call or seen anything that we've done, you've seen a benefit to it, I hope you'll continue to invest in our mission as best you can. If you don't see anything helpful that we've done, I'd encourage you to invest and then help us change it. That's the only way we're going to do anything better, is that if we have more people at the table. And I know I have a number of board members who are on this call right now. Heather Driver, our chair, is on this call, and I know she would echo that sentiment, that if we're doing great, invest and let us keep it going. If we're not doing so great, invest and help us change it. That's the only way that we're going to get through this as a community. And in the meantime, this chamber, this staff, this board is going to bend over backwards and help as many businesses as we can, irrespective of their membership status. At this point, that's put aside for the sake of this business community. I'm so proud of this team. I'm proud of this business community. I'm proud of those businesses that have stepped up and helped their colleagues and peers, and even in some cases their competitors, get through this crisis. It truly is inspiring. I think we're going to come out of this thing a lot stronger business community than we went into it with. But there's going to be a lot of pain along the way. We've got some tough days ahead of us, but we're going to get through it. We've gotten through other crises in the past. We got to be sensitive to those who are hurting right now, do everything that we can to support them. Shop locally, get your takeout, get food delivered, do all those things that you can to help these guys right now. And I think our business community is going to remember those kind gestures that were extended to them right now as we go forward. Todd is telling me that there is a blood drive at First Baptist today, maybe. So when I leave the office today, I'll check out that, see if there's a bloodmobile there. And Mace is affirming that, in fact, there is a blood drive. So, guys, thank you again for everything that you do. Reach out to us if there's anything particular that we can do for you. In the meantime, you need to be reaching out to your bankers, reaching out to your lenders. Make sure that you're in the queue for this relief that's going to be replenished. We think by the end of this week. We got our fingers crossed. There are some possibilities that this thing gets held up, but we're hopeful that we'll get another $310 billion injected into these SBA programs, and that I think that'll provide a lot of help and a lot of relief for a lot of folks. But in the meantime, please stay healthy, support your local businesses where you can, practice that social distancing, and reach out to us if we can help you at all. In the meantime, thank you guys.